it's the Russum Vegan Gal here, and I have a topic for today that I'd like to talk to you about. It's an important one. I think so, and if you've been following my videos, I just want to say that I hope you're enjoying them, and I also would always love for you to leave any comments, any suggestions, any thoughts, any ideas, and if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. So today's topic, we're going to talk about what is organic. I think it's a very important topic. And I don't want people to be confused about exactly what it means, because a lot of times people see labels of products and the company calls themselves organic. It's the name of the company, but that does not mean that the company is actually doing due diligence. It's a little bit of false advertising, because they may not have one ingredient in their product that is truly organic. So we're going to try to go through and explain exactly what that means, so you'll be more aware, and then you can go when you do your shopping or you see things, products, you will really know what organic means. So first, what I want to do is tell you that there's the certified organic. So if you've ever seen this label, I will show that to you on this little card. There's a USDA label here. If you can see that, I'll point to it with my finger. You can see that USDA label. It says USDA organic. So that's a label that United States Department of Agriculture has put out to show that things are certified organic. So let's first talk about what that means, and then we'll go more into detail about why we should use organic and what the benefits are. So first of all, so you should know that 100% organic is what you should strive for, because that's the best quality. Although, you know, there's a lot of loopholes in a lot of things that people do, and hopefully they are above board. But, you know, ultimately the best thing is to grow your own food if you can, as far as your produce. So what does 100% organic mean? It means that every single ingredient in the product that you purchase, prepared products, whether it's food products or, you know, skincare products or stuff like that, is 100% organic, every single ingredient. So when you read it on there, it should say, let's say, organic olive oil, organic tomatoes, organic peppers, organic basil. Everything will read organic. Also, only organic processing aids are used. So what that means is that any way that it's being processed, everything in that process is organic. Also, there is no non-organic ingredients at all. It's not allowed. And the label must list the product's certification excuse me, slip of the tongue, a certification agency. It may include the USDA organic seal, which I showed you. There's also different other certification agencies. There's a California Certified Farmers Association, which is this logo here in the corner. So it looks a little different. So there's different types of logos. Now, a product can also say just the word organic if at least 95% of the ingredients are organic, and the 5% can be non-organic. That is allowed. And ingredients such as baking powder, citric acid, and all agriculture ingredients must be organic. Again, the label must include the certification agency and may have the USDA seal. The other one is called made with organic ingredients, and that means at least 70% must be organic. Remaining ingredients can be non-organic or non-organic agriculture, and they also have to have the seal. And finally, products that have less than 70% can mention the organic ingredient in the panel only, but they cannot use any seal or label, because that is specifically for products that are either 95 or 100%. I didn't mention the ones that have at least 70, where it says made with organic, cannot use the USDA organic seal. So that's important to know. So that's just a general idea of what it means to be 100%, 95%, etc. Okay, so what is organic? Let's explain that so that you know actually what the word organic means. Organic agriculture is an ecological production management system. It sounds like big words, but don't worry, it's not that complicated. That promotes and enhances biodiversity, biological cycles, and soil biological activity. It's based on minimal use of off-farm inputs and on management practices that restore, maintain, and enhance ecological harmony. So basically, you know, what it is that it kind of follows the rules of nature. It doesn't diverge or, you know, change things like outside of nature and add things like, you know, genetically. You've heard about genetically modified foods and stuff. I have a really good video that I did on GMOs, so you should definitely check that one out as well if you want to know more about genetically modified foods and why you shouldn't eat them and what's the problem with them. So the idea is that they stay according to nature, the way nature, if you watch just the way nature works itself without anyone touching it or causing any kind of harm or disruption. Okay, and And how does something get certified? Actually, if you have land that you want to certify, it has to actually be left, I believe it's 3 years without anything on it, so that any chemicals can wash out and it become able to be certified, because it has to be certified in order to call your stuff organic. So it has to be an agency that certifies it. So there's strict standards. The land here, I just mentioned it actually is true. The land which the organic food is grown must be free of prohibited substances for 3 years prior to certification. They have to keep detailed records of their farming methods and the material used in production. All these methods are inspected annually by a third-party certifying agent. And, I've heard sometimes, because I know some farmers firsthand, that they sometimes come and surprise you and do like a surprise audit. So, if your stuff isn't in order, that's not a good thing, because you always want to be prepared for that, and that be highly regarded by society and, by the agencies. All farmers and handlers are required to maintain written plans detailing their organic management practice, because there are pest management that you have to abide by. You can't just use whatever you want, kind of a spray, like all this horrible weed killers and stuff that people use, pesticides, chemicals, herbicides. They're really bad. So the idea is this protects your health. Organic food limits the release of toxic chemicals into the environment and to our food supply. And this way you support a healthy lifestyle for yourself, your children, and for farm workers in the field. So everyone benefits. So what does organic? It supports the environment. So, it helps with our land and water resources. It supports the natural ecosystem. It protects our water, because we don't put chemicals that pollute the water. And don't forget, when it gets into the groundwater, we end up drinking that water. And most of the time, I would suggest people have a filter anyway, or if they can get it from a pristine spring or some kind of, mountainous source, that's different. But that's the problem, is it pollutes the water and then you're drinking it. So creates a diverse ecosystem. Organic farming, since it respects the environment, it brings a lot of species and wild animals into the habitat, and it's really nice how the ecosystem works in uniformity together. Okay, organic farms build soil. This is very important, because our topsoils have gotten eroded so badly, and it's really, really bad, like the way it is at the moment. So when you build up your soil organically, it really helps prevent the erosion. Okay, it also saves our energy resources. This is a biggie. Because organic farming doesn't rely on petroleum-based chemicals. It requires less non-renewable resources to operate. Instead, they rely on cover crops, plant rotation, and natural insect control, which does not involve the use of synthetic chemicals. So they're required to use other methods to prevent the pests and stuff like that. So the idea is that you're saving a lot of resources because you're doing it. Of course, no genetic modification, which I mentioned, which is really horrible. No irradiation. And if you want to really study up on that, again, watch my video on genetically GMOs. Organic products meet stringent standards. I mentioned that earlier about the USDA seal. So now let's talk about some more things about why to choose organic. We mentioned for your health. Also, most of the time, food is picked at a peak flavor and ripe, and that's important, and then you get the maximum benefits of the nutrients. Okay, children especially. For children, because children receive 4 times the exposure than an adult to at least 8 widely used cancer-causing pesticides in food. So this is very important. When a child is young, they're more susceptible because their immune system is not strong and it stays in their body and can really harm them. Okay, for the health of the planet, we mentioned that about pesticides and chemicals. The health of your garden, we mentioned that too, about the diverse ecosystem. For better water quality, the EPA estimates pesticides cause some cancer-causing contaminate the groundwater in 38 states, polluting the primary source of drinking water for more than half the country's population. I think since this was written, this little information card that I have, it's probably much more than that, but that's what they say here. It's pretty sad. Okay, health of the farm workers. Don't forget, when farm workers are exposed to all these chemicals, they have a 6 times greater risk than non-farmers of contracting cancer. So that's a biggie because they're breathing it in all day. Also, for small family farmers, although most large-scale farms are making the conversion to organic, most organic farms are small, independently owned and operated family farms of less than 100 acres. So it's estimated that the U.S. has lost more than 650,000 family farms in the past decade. That's pretty sad. For better flavor, that's true too, is that the food has the nutrients in the soil are richer, therefore it makes the food that you eat more richer. Sometimes you'll eat really good tomato from a farmer, like a farmer that I know and have worked for. He has some of the best, I think, heirloom tomatoes around. And when you eat them, you're like, wow, these are so rich. It has this rich, salty, nutrient-rich flavor. You're like, wow, it's just amazing. You eat it and you could taste the minerals in it. It is so rich. Preserves biodiversity. We mentioned this too, but also many conventional farms grow hybridized vegetables and fruits, breed for uniformity, ease of shipment, and cosmetic appearance. Such modern concerns have ignored the value of preserving a diversity of seed varieties. So this goes back to the idea of heirloom, which I just mentioned, is that heirloom are seeds that have been used over and over again for at least 50 years. So that's really high quality because you're preserving that for a long time. Organic presents a true economy. Organically grown products may be more expensive, but mere retail prices are deceptive because conventionally raised and priced agricultural products present only a fraction of the true cost. Current prices for conventionally grown foods do not reflect the cost of federal subsidies to conventional agriculture, the cost of contaminated drinking water, loss of wildlife habitat, and soil erosion, or the cost of the disposal and cleanup of hazardous wastes generated by the manufacturing of pesticides. So what it is you pay now, you pay later, as they say. So really, organically grown food, when you're paying more for a sustainable environment, but it is the true cost of food. That's the difference, is that you're paying one way or the other. So I'd rather pay for the good food than have to pay for all the garbage that they have to take care of, because there's a lot less yield because of that, and all the chemicals, and all that is affecting us long term. So that's a big issue for me. And then there's a really great company I wanted to mention. They're called the Organic Center, and I'll include a link to them below. And they have this really cool little card. I'll lift it up here so you can see. I'll try to get it close. It might not be so clear. So what it has here, it has this cute little pocket guide of different fruits that have the least toxic exposure and the greatest toxic exposure for you to consume. It's a pocket guide for reducing pesticides. And so, for example, it lists these domestically grown conventional fruit that pose the greatest risks for toxic pesticides exposure. Things like cranberries, nectarines, peaches, strawberries, pears, apples, cherries, and cantaloupe. And foods posing the greatest pesticide risk per serving. This is the domestically grown conventional vegetables. Green beans, sweet bell peppers, celery, cucumbers, potatoes, tomatoes, peas, and lettuce. So this may have changed, so you always would want to check up, and it's organic-center.org, but I'll include a link. And there's different sites that talk about this, and it's very important to know, because when you're buying these foods, the other part, as far as conventionally grown, the nutrient quality is usually a lot less. So for me, I'd rather buy higher quality produce and get the most benefit out of it than having to, buy conventional grown produce and having the least nutrient benefit of it. I mean, if you can't afford it, eating fresh fruits and vegetables is very good for you. The things that you want to try to avoid is things like berries, things that have skins that you can't peel off, like an avocado or pineapple, so there's less residue. But berries, it gets right into it. It seeps right into it, so that I would definitely think about. Okay, and then 10 reasons why organic growing makes a difference. And we're going to go shoot through these real fast because our time is kind of short. Protect the health of future generations. Protect water quality, we mentioned. Build and protect topsoil, we mentioned that. Over 30 billion tons of topsoil eroded from the U.S. crops annually. They meet very stringent standards. Reduce health risk for cancers. Protect the health of farm workers. We mentioned most of this. Makes food taste great, which we agree. So overall, organic is definitely something to strive for. And even if you start slowly, what I would recommend mostly is to buy the stuff that you eat a lot of. I think the things that you eat a lot of, you should be aware that, you want to buy them organic. And also the stuff that, like I said, berries, things like that are fragile and that you can't clean off too well. Bananas maybe is not such a big deal, or avocados or pineapples. But other things where you're not peeling off the skin, you should definitely consider getting organic. So I hope this enlightened you, and I apologize if I rushed through this a little bit quickly. I hope you were able to get all the information that I shared with you here. And I will also have some links below for where you can read more information. And, you need to do what's best for yourself, for your health, and your family, because that's what really matters in the long run. And our planet, because our planet is being affected as well by all the chemicals and pesticides that go into the soil and the land and cause a lot of problems. So I want to thank you for watching. This is the Rawesome Vegan Gal.